The number of people holding down jobs in Connecticut declined in December, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Bureau reports the statewide payroll declined by 3,400 jobs in December, the second monthly drop in jobs after 6 consecutive months of increases. Statewide employment now stands at 1,590,800 jobs. But a Connecticut Department of Labor official says the job losses came in industries affected by the pandemic, such as food service, whereas the manufacturing, construction, and finance industries all saw increases in December. Well, there have been some bright spots in Connecticut's economy, though. One of them is a new deal with IT outsourcing company HCL. The company signed a lease for nearly 17,000 square feet of office space at 10 House Square in downtown Hartford. HCL's executive vice president of sales told the Hartford Business Journal the new space has enough capacity to house about 150 workers, though it's not clear how many will use the space during or after the pandemic. The company will move into the space in March. And the Connecticut Restaurant Association and DoorDash are teaming up to offer struggling Connecticut restaurants $5,000 grants to help weather the pandemic storm. Restaurants can now officially apply for those grants on ctrestaurantrelief.org. The CRA released a statement thanking DoorDash for a $500,000 contribution to the fund and saying they hope to grow the fund with contributions from additional corporate partners. If you've received a package recently that you didn't order, the Federal Trade Commission and cyber experts say it could be part of a new scam. Here's how the so-called brushing scam works. Third-party sellers on Amazon and eBay and other online marketplaces pay people to write fake positive reviews about their products. To be able to post those reviews, the brushers have to make it appear that legitimate transactions took place and items were shipped, so they ship items to a random person. Now here's the thing, you won't have to pay for the item if you get one, and it's not illegal actually to send people unordered merchandise. So you're really not at risk here. It's just a little slimy to post fake reviews.
No doubt about that. All right, our neighbors in Massachusetts